What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Real Impact. We got a great one lined up for you guys today. If you guys don't know who this guy is, you're probably not connected. You're probably not on social media. You probably don't know any guru out there. So without further ado, we'll get this thing kicked off.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yo,
Tino, what's up, man?
what's up? What's up?
How's it going, man?
Man, everything's going great, man. I'm feeling good. I'm super pumped and excited to be on this podcast, man.
Hell
Super
yeah.
excited.
No, we're excited to have you on, man. So for those of you guys that don't know, this is Sharktino, otherwise known as Tino. Tino, for the people listening that maybe don't know who you are, who is the Shark?
Just to give you guys a little bit of a background, I was in the Army for 7 years, immediately after high school, got out of the Army, and during summer school of college, got into sales and just kind of worked my way up from there. Let's fast forward to today. Now I do sales consulting. I have a wholesaling company that I do with my brother as well. I have a cold call company. I do e-com automation. I have my own crypto that I've been developing since 2018. I mean, I do a lot of different things, but nonetheless, the common denominator, the glue between all of those is sales and being good at sales. So that's what I'm good at. And that's kind of what sprouts all these other things that I get to do and have fun with.
Hell yeah, man. No, I think that's super important, man, because I think that skill alone provides so many different avenues.
Oh, for sure. It's put me in rooms with people that I could never even dream of being with. It's put me on stages. I just spoke in Jamaica in front of a room full of high level entrepreneurs that get to leave their businesses for a whole week and network with high level entrepreneurs in Jamaica. Like, I mean, sales has definitely catapulted me into different arenas that I never even thought was possible, for sure.
Hell yeah. No, I love that, man. Guys, you guys are tuning in. Also, this is a live show. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, let us know. We'll try to answer them as we can, but we're gonna dive into everything, man. So Tino, what kind of got you involved in real estate, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a little backstory on how I even know Tino, right? This man was selling mentorship, right? And talk with Tino and everything like that. And was just straight up with him, right? Just told him, hey man, just not right now. But built a really good relationship with him off of that. And that's kind of how I met him, right? And then we've just stayed in touch, stayed in contact ever since then. But yeah, man, what was it that got you involved in the real estate game?
Quick story. Like I said, I was in the car business. I did that for 7 years following the Army, and I got really good at sales in general. And I invested in this thing called Bitcoin. You probably heard of it. I invested in it in 2014. It was like $4.90 something a coin, and I bought a couple of those, quite a few of those, and then I ended up turning that into trading that into another altcoin that had a nice 7,000% ROI. It was crazy during 2017. Well, needless to say, I retired from corporate America, and I was looking to get into real estate because everyone knows that most of the richest people, the most affluent people, make most of their wealth through real estate, right? Through either big business, selling businesses, building up businesses, then exiting those businesses, or real estate. But nonetheless, there's always real estate involved. So I started looking, and I had messaged a couple gurus local here in Phoenix, asking like, hey, how can I get into this? I'm not a normal type guy. I know wholesaling has a low barrier to entry, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to take one step back to take two forward. I was making at the time at the job I was at prior to leaving, probably $300,000 to $400,000 a year, around there. And so it was good money. And a lot of the people I messaged were like, they didn't even answer me, right? They're gurus. Yeah. And I had like 200 followers at the time, right? And so I messaged them and I said, hey, can you point me in the right direction? I'm willing to pay. Like, how can I do this? And one guru, I said, please don't send me your course. Well, one guru automatically, shouts out to him, TTP. A lot of you guys probably know him. He sent me, he auto replied with an email, and it was like a link to his course, right? Talk to people, right? And then Carlos Reyes was actually on a live, on an IG live in his Rolls Royce, and he was answering questions, and people were asking like sales questions. So I didn't know anything about real estate, but I knew sales. I was really good at sales. So I was answering the questions in the chat before he can read them and answer himself. Long story short, he like said, "Hey brother, send me a DM. Da, 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 da. What kind of business are you in?" And we started chatting. And the next day, I went in and interviewed with them, with Carlos and Sal. They're a huge operation here out of Phoenix. And long story short, they were just like, "Dude, we can't really afford you right now. Like, we don't know where to put you."
Yeah.
And Carlos wanted me, or excuse me, Sal wanted me to do business development to help with all the businesses they have. They have a buttload of businesses, in case you don't know. And I kind of didn't want to do that, but I'm like, hey, I'll get my foot in the door. I want to learn this real estate shit. And Carlos was like, dude, this guy's an acquisitions manager. He's going to fucking crush it. He led teams. Like, he's a car guy. Like, he's going to crush it. I promise you. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I'll do it. And then Sal was like, are you okay with that? Because you're not going to be getting paid what you're used to. I said, it's all good, man. I always told him, like, I got some money saved up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got some money saved up. Don't trip.
It's a long term, not short term.
Yeah. I gotta look at the big picture, right? So I did acquisitions. 2 days, I was just like shadowing somebody. I'm not going to mention their name, but I was like, damn, this dude sucks. Like, not that he sucks, but it's just like, if I was on the phone, I would probably say this. I would probably do this. If I was working these leads in the CRM, I'd probably be doing this to these leads. And after, like, they wanted me to like just shadow for 2 weeks and then do role playing. And I was like, dude, come on. Like, can I get on leads? And they're like, no. After 2 days, I asked straight up, I said, hey, dude, I need to get on leads. Like, please let me do this. I can get on all the old leads. I don't even have to get on your new cold call leads or PPC leads. Like, just give me the old ones. I'll resurrect something. And literally they let me get on the phone. And that day I got one deal my first day. And then the second day I got 2 deals in that day. And then in the next 5 weeks, I got 33 deals in that 5 weeks. So
that's it.
That's it. So after that first week, they like said, fuck it, we're going to open the floodgates, and they let me have new leads. So I didn't know anything. Shouts out to Adrian Salgado, Born Closer, if you guys know him. He was running like all the numbers for me. I didn't know shit about running comps, about anything. Like, I would just go in his office and say, hey, dude, I got this person. Like, they're interested in a cash offer. Where do I need to be? And he'd be like, all right. He'll like plug it in the calculator and say, all right, this is where you need to be. You need to be at 80,000. I'm like, all right, bet. I go in there.
Tino, your mic cut. Your mic cut.
What about now? Sorry.
You're spitting so much fire, the mic cut out, man.
Yeah, man. I'm about to burn this fucking house down. Anyway, so long story short, I don't know where we got cut off, but shouts out to Adrian. He was running all the numbers for me. I didn't know anything. I was just running in the wind. And he would say, hey, you need to get this property at $80,000. I'm like, all right, cool. And that was like 50, 60% of ARV. So then I would run in there and I would offer them 40,000, and I'd just rip their legs off, fucking blow their legs off, peel them off the ceiling, and work the deal, and end up at like, 50K. And he's like, holy shit, bro. Like, what the hell? And I'm getting these properties at like 40 cents on the dollar. And they're like, dude, just keep. I'm like, how do you come up with these numbers? He's like, dude, just don't worry about that. Just keep doing this. Because I thought that's like whatever number he would give me was my high end. Okay.
Right.
So I was just working the deal like I would a car deal. In the car business, you go up to, exactly. In the car business, you work with what is called a foursquare when you negotiate. It's like a teeter-totter game, right? It's like it's like this, right? So if the down payment is higher, the monthly payment will be lower, and vice versa. So I just kind of did that same logic that I learned in the car business and training all those salespeople over the years, and it just applied it to this. And before you know it, I got 33 deals, and we went from like, I think they were making like 7 to 10 deals a month to like we were knocking out like 50 deals a month every single month after that. And I ended up leaving. I ended up leaving because I had a personal issue with my ex-wife. I ended up finding out on Friday night after the 5 weeks of putting those deals that she cheated on me on a Friday night. I found that out on Monday morning. I filed for divorce. So I took some time off. I told the guys, hey, I need some time off. This is what's going on. They're like, holy shit, man. They're like, yeah, take some time off. So I took like about a month and a half off, 6 weeks off, just to kind of figure everything out, the housing situation, move some money around, figure all that. and go through that divorce. But I ended up with a successful divorce, and I came back, and I wasn't going to come back. I told him, hey, you know what? I'm just going to chill. I'll figure it out, take some time off, spend some time with my family, my kids. And they're like, hey, what about doing this? What about doing business development now? I'm like, all right, cool. And, I started doing that. And then I got into education, where it's like, how can we, teach other people how to do what we're doing? And long story short, we ended up building this company of it's called All In, right? The All In, what was it called? Dude, what was it? All In Nation, excuse me.
Yeah,
which was I feel like it's been so long ago. And we built we started doing events and all types of different things. They had done a couple before I got there, but we really ramped it up, and they started marketing, and we built it up into this huge thing. It was a beautiful thing. And I started speaking on stages, at the height. I think we spoke in front of like 900 people, 800 people. And I got really good at selling from stage. Yep. So I just applied what I kind of learned, from the car business, the wholesaling acquisitions manager thing, to the education thing. And, I was closing, like, I think at the height we did 1.21 million from one event, just from the stage. It was fucking crazy. So since then, I've been speaking on stage. I've been mentoring people for sales. I've been doing all types of things, but that's ultimately how I got into real estate. Now, a lot of people are like, dude, you didn't do acquisitions for that very long, and I didn't. And I'm guilty as charged. But you know what?
Oh, no. Your mic cut.
I'm sorry. This thing's loose right here.
No, you're good. No, man, I think the biggest testament to that is that, you didn't do acquisitions, quote unquote, for so long, but acquisitions is sales.
Right.
Through and through, it's sales, right? And like, I mean, I think the most successful, wholesaling companies out there, right? Like, they're not looking at wholesaling as a real estate business. It's a sales and marketing organization.
Sales and marketing all day.
And real estate's the product that we're selling, right?
Last year, in October of last year, is when I actually kind of separated from All In and went and started doing my own thing. And me and my brother started our own company together. He's my partner and one of my best friends, obviously. And it's been going very well. We, trained people, hired people, fired people. We're doing PPC, cold calling. And I mean, it's not that hard. A lot of people are struggling right now, quote unquote hustlers are struggling just for a simple fact that they think, oh man, the market's shifting. Da, 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 da. Okay, so I did hear this the other day, and it did make a lot of sense to me. First off, I want to preface that with this, that investors are looking at prices in the future, and sellers are looking at prices in the past, right? Okay. So like sellers look to the past. Well, this house sold for X amount. This house is like mine. It's sold for this much. I can get this much. No, you can't, Mr. Gentleman, Mr. Johnson, because the market is shifting down, and this one sold, this one sold, this one sold, this one sold for this much. So it's all about educating the buyer and logic trapping them. And for me, this is not, I have no fucking worries. Look at his face. No worries. We're still getting deals, and we're getting them just because we're sticking to our principles, not our practices. So that's one thing that I learned from somebody while I was in Jamaica. Actually, they brought up a good point because I told them, hey, everything's still going hunky-dory for us. Yeah, sure, the numbers, the values have shifted a little bit, but not much. The reason being is, he said, most people go off practices, which means in certain scenarios this works. Like, this is what we do. This is usually what we do, right? But principles is something that you don't break under any condition. And my principles is to negotiate the fucking deal, work the dog piss out of it, and get the deal as low as possible. So if you're following those principles, no matter what, whether people are buying at 75% or 70% ARV or 95% ARV, you're still going to make a deal. You're still going to make money. That's what everyone's tripping about, is they can't sell these properties because they're still locking them up at 80%, thinking that some hedge fund is going to come in and swoop it up for them. Well, those days are not over forever, but they're just not here right now, right? Everyone,
it's a different time.
This is the example I use, right? This watch, right? It's like a let's say $50,000 Rolex, 45, 48, whatever, $48,000 Rolex, and I ask a crowd. I say, hey, who is in the market for a $50,000 Rolex? Usually nobody will raise their hand, right? And I tell them, hey, what if I told you that right now today, if you wanted to sell it, you can get at least $45,000 for it, and I'm selling it right now for $20,000. First $20,000 can take it. Now is anybody in the market for a Rolex? Then everyone raises their hand, and the reason behind that is because a good deal is a good deal. No matter what,
through and through, all the time.
It doesn't matter if we're in a recession, if Biden's fucking the economy up, quote unquote. It doesn't matter, right? What matters is where you get the deal, because a good there's always somebody who's gonna buy the fucking deal. I keep moving this thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
there's an ask for every seat. There's a buyer for every deal.
Exactly, 1,000%, man. And a lot of people don't realize. Muting, bro. You know why my shit keeps muting? 1 second. Let me see if the back is unplugged or something.
Could just be a little loose.
Yeah, that's what she said. No, it shouldn't be. All right. All right.
We'll ride the wave.
All right. I apologize for that, guys.
Nah, you're good, man.
What's going on?
No, I mean, I think that's a huge point too, man. Because like, I know right now a big emphasis that we're looking at, and that a lot of people should be looking at, is that for the past 6 to 12 months, we haven't had to sell deals, right?
Right.
On the disco side, we haven't had to actually be sales people.
You just have to post them and put them out there.
No, we're just order takers, right?
Right.
Whereas like now, like what you're talking about, right, with the Rolex story, you got to sell the deal. You got to sell the potential that's there. You got to sell the value that you're bringing with that deal.
You got to paint the picture.
Exactly, right?
Get people excited.
Just like you do with sellers,
you
got to paint the picture for a buyer now too.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the biggest things too that we're seeing is your best buyers right now aren't going to be the people on your buyers list, aren't going to be the hedge funds. They're not going to be all that. They're going to be your first-time flipper.
Yes.
First-time landlord. Yes. Because guess what? They don't know interest rates are high.
Yeah. Title companies are saying that for sure.
It's normal. Like with all your career flippers and stuff like that. Yeah, it's freaking high right now.
Right.
But these people that are, they're trying to do one flip a year. They're trying to do, 3-4 flips this year with their buddy that they're coworkers with or whatever, right?
Yeah.
12%, 15% interest. They don't care. They're trying to make 20 G's on a rig.
Exactly. They're just looking at the money in, money out. And
that's it.
The crazy part about that is, one of the title company, one of the ones that we use, they did say that. They said that a lot of the transactions that they're doing are brand new people. Most of them are brand new people, which is kind of good and kind of bad at the same time, right? It's good because that means more people are entering the marketplace. More people are entering the industry. They're going to be picking up more flips. But it is kind of bad because they might find themselves, if it's their first flip, they might buy a little bit too high, over leverage themselves, overstretch themselves, and be fucked. I mean, a lot of people that are in flips right now are kind of.
There's a lot of people that are hurting right now.
Yeah, for sure. But one thing's for certain is that if you get the deal the right way, it's always gonna work out, man.
Yeah,
it's always gonna work out. Now, as far as salespeople go, salespeople are they're human, right? And we like to work smarter, not harder. And for the most part, a lot of salespeopeople just are lazy. Let's just say it, right?
Because they know you get into sales, right? You get into sales for the time free to the money,
Yeah, you want to try and make the most amount of money as you can for the least amount of work. All right. I mean, that's my philosophy. But some salespeople do it the wrong way, and they become complacent. They get used to what was going on before. Like you said, you didn't have to sell deals before. I had a deal recently that shouts out to my fiance. She never had done real estate before in her life, and she was going to get her license, and I'm like, don't do that, like I mean, not that I'm against it, but I was just like, dude, why don't we just wholesale a deal, whatever. And it was a deal here locally in Phoenix, and I passed it to somebody who does dispo here for a lot of people, because I just want to worry about getting the deals for the most part. And they were having kind of a issue selling the property, and I was like, what? Like, what is going on? Like, we got it really low. It's in a great area. Yeah. So I'm like, here, I'm gonna take it to some people. So I shot it over to couple of my friends, and one of them, his name is Zach. He owns like half of Phoenix out here. You know what I mean? And
Good way to have, yeah.
yeah. So I started talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, this is what I'm looking." I'm like, "Dude, come on! Like, I need you to come up a quarter." And he's like, "Oh, dude, I can't." I said, "I need 4.25. And he's like, "Dude, I can't, dude. I'm at like 4.15." I'm like, "No, I can't. How about this, Zach? I need you to go check it out. Walk the property,
Yeah.
FaceTime me while you're there. And I promise you, 4.25 is going to feel like a steal." And the guy went and he looked at while he was there, he FaceTimed me and we started talking. And, I painted the picture like, "Hey, dude, this is a good rental. Like, this could be a great rental. It's over the 1% rule. Like, yada. It's in a good community. It's close to shopping center." Like, just painted the picture for him. And he was like, "You know what? You're right. Like, this is good. I want this, blah, blah, blah. Send me over the assignment contract." And we were able to lock it up. And the people that I had sent it to before to kind of help me move it, they asked me, they're like, "Dude, what did you do differently? Like, I don't understand what you did." And I said, all I did was actually talk to someone.
Yeah.
A lot of people, whether they're using Investor Lift, which is a great tool, they just put it out there, but they don't actually pick up the phone and talk to someone. When you have that talk with someone, it really pushes them over the edge. If they're in the least bit interested, you can actually sell something to them. It's just like the education thing, right? Like you were interested in the mentorship program at one point, and had I not talked to you, we would have never had some progress. At one point, we were almost about to do it, and then I think you had gotten pregnant, right?
Yeah,
you'd gotten pregnant, so we put that on timeout. We had to put that on timeout, and I remember I was like, "Dang!" And then we built a good relationship off of that, man. I remember smoking cigars in my brother's backyard while talking to you on the phone, and I was like, "Damn!" That human touch is what pushes people over the edge. A lot of people got used to just uploading a property into a buy box and then having a hedge fund set up an inspection and do that and do this, but it all comes into talking to people. If I told you like, "Hey, dude, like this one's a little hairy. I know I bought it a little bit too high, but all I need is 10 on top of I just need to make 10K off of this. But I promise you, I'm going to bring you 2 more right after it. They're going to be way deeper and they're going to be a lot more meat on the bone." Like, it's just talking to people and giving them first dibs, like following through with your promises.
And that's I was about to say, that's a key right there, is not just talking out of your ass, right? Like
following through with them.
Yeah. And I think, dude, a big piece to that too is like, for the, while the train was hot, right, with these hedge funds and stuff like that, a lot of people that were selling to them didn't understand their business model, right? No. They didn't know why they were buying so high. They didn't know why they were doing anything like that they were doing, right? And so like, it messes them up now whenever they go and talk to these buyers, because they don't know what questions to ask. They don't know how to figure out what their model is. They don't know how to structure a deal to make sense for their business, right?
Right.
Because like
they got to be able to ask the questions to back into a deal.
Exactly. And like, because like that was one of the first things that we did, right? Because we rode the wave, right? I mean, you're dumb if you didn't, right? You're ignorant if you didn't ride the wave, right? And so we rode the wave. But my first question with everybody I talked with is, what's your yield? Why are you buying as high as you're buying? Right. Yeah. And like, we talked to them, we talked through their model, we talked through like where their money's coming from.
Right.
Like same thing with, normal buyers. Are you buying this cash or hard money? Like things you gotta know to make a deal work. Because if somebody's buying it cash, guess what? You don't have to account for interest rates unless they have private money. They're buying it with hard money. Guess what? Now you got to worry about down payment, interest rates, their draw schedule, like all that stuff that comes into play. So I think that's huge, man. And I think not many people.
And that all boils down to having a sales process. Even when I was in the finance department, like let's say we got somebody that had like not the most pristine credit or the most pristine income to be able to afford their dream car or what have you. And I had all these A paper, prime paper, good credit people, low LTVs. And I'd have a stack full of deals like this. And I'd be like, "Hey, Wells Fargo, do you want these deals?" Yeah. Here, I want you to take a look at this deal for me. And it's like the bad deal, right? It's the ugly duckling. And I'd have them look at that deal and they're like, "Hey, look, this is what I can do. If let's do a package deal. I'll give you this deal. You have to take this deal for me, but I'm going to give you all these 6 prime deals at 3.99 when they really should be 2.99. And they'd be like, all right, let's run it. And they'll take the deal, you know?
Yeah.
So like, it's all about how you position yourself. When you're speaking to these people, a lot of people I notice, because let's face it, wholesaling does have a super low barrier to entry.
Oh,
Meaning
yeah.
any swinging dick with a laptop and a cell phone can do this.
Yep.
So what you're going to get is a lot of younger people or non-experienced people that just are afraid to talk to people, right? And whether it's imposter syndrome or they just don't feel confident, they set themselves up for failure just by not having a a sales process or procedures of how to talk to them and what the end goal is and how they're going to try to maneuver the conversation and steer the direction of the actual seller or the end buyer. So that's one thing that I like to preach, is having a sales process for sure. I mean, you've trained salespeople before, you know what it's like.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's huge too, because I think especially the time that we're just getting out of, right? The process itself doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
I mean, just simple fact is we could get leads that come into CRM. Their asking price works.
Damn.
Right? No, I mean, like, think about it. 6 months ago, right?
Yeah.
You get a lead that comes straight in from a cold caller. They're asking 300, ARV's 340. Guess what? You can lock it up at 300.
Yep.
Money.
You could, yeah.
Yeah, but
does that mean you should?
Exactly, right? You don't follow that process through and through, good times, bad times, fast times, slow times. Like, the process is what makes a business sustainable, right?
1000%.
Especially when it comes to sales.
Yep.
Right. So
without sales, there's no scaling, right?
Exactly. So let's talk about that, man. What because obviously you've got 17 plus years in the business, right? Sales wise, right?
Yeah.
So from your experience, what are some of the key traits and then like personalities that you see in like good
for
sales?
salespeople? It's crazy because sometimes I get surprised myself by some of the people that I don't think are going to really flourish in sales. And so you look for people that are, I hate to say like A type personality, B type, like colors and stuff like that. I'm not really that type of guy. I look for somebody who's outgoing, right? Somebody who's outgoing, who can have a conversation, who can look me in the eyes when they're speaking to me, and who's not afraid to just talk. Because a lot of people are very shy, right? I look for somebody who shakes my hand really hard. And I recruit people from the car business. I recruit people from the kiosk at the malls, in the center of the mall that stop you. Hey, sir.
Yeah.
Those guys that are not scared of rejection, because those guys get kicked in the nuts 5 times a day,
I'm one of those people that kicks them, man.
So I look for those type of people, but then sometimes you'll get very surprised because you'll see a lot of people that you would have thought would have done good become lazy, and then they don't flourish just because one hot day doesn't make it a summer. One of my old mentors taught me that, and a lot of people in real estate, they get that syndrome. They like have a good run, and then they kind of let off the gas just because they get super comfortable, or it's something they're not used to, or they feel accomplished, or they deserve it. And I'm not saying like always have your foot on the gas, but it is something that's I noticed in this industry that's very prevalent with a lot of the younger people, especially. But as far as looking for good salespeople, it's people that are coachable, that aren't afraid to embarrass themselves, and that are okay with hearing no. Man, hey, my job don't start until somebody tells me no. When somebody tells me no, that's when I roll up my sleeves and I get to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what's important. Here we go. I just got a text message from this person that we sent a contract out. They said my wife signed the doc. So yeah, we got a contract. That's one of the biggest issues in this industry. The hardest part is not doing this, right? Because you can find the information anywhere, right? Whether it's YouTube University, whether it's getting a mentor, which I highly suggest. Even if it's not a paid mentor, you should have somebody in this same industry that you're trying to flourish in.
Somebody in your corner,
Yeah, just somebody that can relate to what you're going through, right? Because we go through growing pains. They're not called growing feel goods, right? And you want to be able to relate to somebody who has been down that road, or who's in the foxhole with you going through it as we speak. So that's one of the hardest things. And, people is the hardest. You can get marketing down, you can get a sales process, but people is always the hardest to fill because let's face it, man, we're never going to find somebody who cares as much about our business as we do. We might be able to train somebody to, like, let's say 85% of our capacity to kind of do our day-to-day stuff. But at the end of the day, it's always the people. So that's why we always got to be in like recruiting mode. Always got to be recruiting. Always got to be recruiting. Always got to be setting new goals for our people. Always got to ask them straight up, like, where do you see yourself in the next 6 to 8 months in the company? You know, like it has to be a plan where they're in the boat rowing with you.
Yeah.
Because eventually they're going to be the coxswain and they're going to have people rowing. And they're, you know what I mean? Like it's got to be a mutual thing. Yeah. Like I'm perfectly fine with giving up pieces of the pie if I know I have to worry about less and I know they have that financial worry off of them. So then they can really grind. So that's like one of the biggest things that a lot of people in this industry kind of get stuck on, right? And let's face it, man, great acquisitions managers are not owned, they're leased, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can talk all day, bro. I talk too much.
No. And I think that's a huge kicker too, man, because like you know, like you said, like you're okay giving away a piece of, I feel the same way, right? Because at the end of the day too, right? You gotta be confident. If you're confident enough to give away a piece of that pie, it's also the confidence that by doing that pie is gonna grow.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not just because I think so many people get so caught up in like, you know, giving away a piece of the pie because they're so scared the pie is going to stay the same size.
Yes.
Right. Versus like with the not like knowing that if I give away a piece of this and they've got,
you're super generous. You were telling me the other day like what yours is, and hey, dude, salute, hats off to you, because what that does is it sets whoever's in those seats up for success. And in turn, you're thinking bigger. You're not thinking the pie is going to stay the same. If you give somebody some skin in the game, they're going to run through walls for you, man. And not only for you, they're going to run through them for themselves, for their families. That's what ultimately will propel the company to the next level. And then you can just keep going like that. And then that's a beautiful thing, man. A lot of people just don't get that. And you've been in the business for what, a couple of years, right? And you're crushing it.
So we got started. I got started part-time in 2019 while I was doing, you know, pharmaceutical sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then man, March 2020 was whenever I went full-time in it. I had a partner for probably about 3-4 months. And then we lived in different states. So it worked out well for a little bit. And then it was just kind of, you know, we both wanted to go kind of different directions with it. So I mean, honestly, like August of 2020 was like my first month, like fully solo, full time and everything like that. And I mean, we cracked 6 figures this year. We cracked 7 figures this year.
Nice.
You know, honestly, with a lean operation too, man, like we've got, I mean, right now we have 2 full-time acquisitions, 1 full-time dispo.
Isn't that incredible, man? Isn't that incredible? People have this preconceived notion that you have to have like a huge team to make 6 figures a month. Like you have to have this huge team. And there's guys that you know make 6 figures a month gross, but they have a huge overhead, a huge nut, and they're only, you know, netting like 30 to 40%. And that's insane to me. Absolutely insane. I'd rather run lean and everyone is happy.
Well, everybody's eating.
Fed, and if everyone's eating, and if the people that aren't eating, it's usually not a you problem, it's a them problem. Just because if you're providing leads, I don't know how many leads you tell me you get a day. You got a shitload.
I mean, I think right now we're averaging close to like 350 to 400 a month.
Crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And honestly, that's just through cold calling, man. We haven't. We just started back up with PPC. We stopped PPC for a couple months, just because we were just restructuring with everything, with all the shifts and everything like that. We're localizing with our marketing. Mm-hmm. We just started PPC back up, literally on Friday.
Nice.
And man, I mean that's. I mean, we got. Let's see. Last week we got 87 leads last week.
Shit. That's good. I
Just-
mean, between two people and with PPC being added on that, that's great, man. I know for me as an acquisitions manager, when I was doing it, my sweet spot was 8 leads a day. Once I started crushing it, then they just started giving me so many leads. I was getting like 20 a day. I'm like, yo, guys, time out. I can't even handle this many leads. Like, because I do a 3-2-1 process with the leads where I call them 3 times. 3 times in a row, 3 times a day. And send them a text message, an email, and voicemail, and all that shit. So
that's funny. We have what's called Hell Week with ours.
Is that the first week that you guys get them, or what?
First 5 days of leads in our CRM, they got to call them 3 times a day.
Okay.
They got to not just touch them, right? They got to call them 3 times a day until they answer.
So the 3-2-1 process works is a lead comes in, right? I show up in the morning. It's there. What I do is the salesperson is supposed to call them 3 times in a row. If you call them once, they probably don't recognize the number. They're probably not going to answer it. You call them 2 times in a row, they might be like, who's this person calling me? They're just send it to voicemail, right? They call it a 3rd time in a row. They're most likely going to be like, who is this? Is it emergency? Is my kid sick? Is somebody getting in a car accident? They're going to answer the phone. Let's say they don't answer the phone. I don't send them a text message. I don't send them a voicemail. That's at like 9:30 in the morning. Then come 12, 1 o'clock, I do the same shit again. I have the salesperson call them 1 time. They don't answer. 2 times. They don't answer. 3 times. They don't answer. On the 3rd time, I leave a voicemail. Like most people leave a voicemail, it's like this. Hey, Mr. Johnson, this is Tino with National Cash Offer. I'm trying to call you and give you an offer on your property. Please give me a call back. My number is 480 da 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 da. Thank you. Right. So what that does is it lets the seller know who you are, why you're calling, and what you're going to do for them. Right.
All the cards are on the table.
Yep, exactly. But then if I call you back later on and you answer, you're like, dude, you told me to call you when I was free. Why are you calling me again? So you look like a jealous ex-girlfriend. So what I do is the voicemail goes a little bit different. It goes like, hey, Mr. Johnson, this is Tino at Cottontail Homes. The reason I'm calling is because you recently spoke to Maria about the property on 123 Main Street. I wanted to call you, ask you some questions, and give you a cash offer. I want to put as much money in your pocket as possible, so I need to get in touch with you and ask you a couple more questions. I'm going to give you a call back later on this afternoon, but if you should free up before then, feel free to give me a call. My number is blah, 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 blah. And I reiterate that. I'm going to give you a call later on. So what that does is like tennis. When you're playing tennis, typically it's 1 ball, right? And then you're on one side, I'm on one side. If I say, hey, this is Tino, I want to give you a cash offer on your property, give me a call back when you get a chance. I hit the ball, boom, I hit it to your side. Now I don't have a ball. I have to wait for you to hit it back. But if I say, hey, this is Tino, I'm going to give you a call back later, but if you free up, feel free to give me a call. Boom, I hit the ball over there, but I still have another ball. I pull out another ball because I told you I'm going to give you a call back later. So what it does is it lets them know, hey, dude, if you don't want me to fucking call you again, you better call me back or at least shoot me a text. Because I'm going to call you again. So what happens is usually by that 2nd set of the 3-2-1, we get somebody that picks up or they give us a call or they tell us, hey, you know what, I'm not interested no more. And then I just start opening that dialogue. And that's really when the deal picks up. What we notice is by doing that, it's something I learned in the car business as well and created there and showed my salespeople while I was in the car business. We were able to get a higher contact ratio because a lot of these cold call leads, it's a miracle how these cold callers can get a hold of them, have conversations with them. But as soon as they put them in your CRM, you can never get in touch with them, right?
Right.
It's always like, oh, I don't know how they talk to them if I can't even call. I can't get in. Yeah. It's funny how it works, but I promise you, by doing this process, the 3-2-1 process, it works every time. 99% of the time, it works every time.
Every time.
But I'll tell you, like, and then I do the same thing in the evening time. So come like 5 o'clock, 4:30, I do the same thing. Now, if you call somebody 9 times in one day and they didn't answer, chances are they're probably never going to answer.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm sending them a text message, a voicemail, and I let that voicemail at the end of the day, I let them know I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow. Said, hey, it was a bit of a one-sided phone tag today. I'm going to give you a call in the morning, but I work pretty late. I work 24/7. I love what I do, so it's not work. Give me a call if you free up before the morning, and let's chat. Usually by that point, I've already talked to them. Or if not, I do the same thing the next day. So it's like hell week times 3, basically.
Yeah. Well, and that's like the way that I tell my guys is like literally like you want to call them until they either block your number or they answer you.
Right.
Because like 1 or 2's got to happen because you got to be relentless because guess what? If we're not the first or last one calling them, somebody else is.
Somebody else is. Yeah.
You know, like you were talking about earlier, like there's such a low barrier to entry to this. Like we're competing with people that don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah,
Like that's
exactly.
just simple facts, especially right now.
Yep.
Like I can't tell you how many times that we're talking to people, we're negotiating with them. They're like, "Oh, Joe Schmo down the street gave me an offer that's $70,000 higher than yours,"
Yeah.
and you're just
You're like, how? And what world? And what, like, I always tell people, I always tell the customer, hey, Mr. Johnson, like, we got the same data. It's public knowledge. You can look up, I can show you what I'm looking at. I can even show you, like, are you in front of a computer? Because this person, listen. And then when people are like, oh, well, I'm going to go with him. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm not a person who's going to bash somebody else. But one thing I will tell you is don't reward bad business practices. So when they come back to you a couple weeks from now saying that they need to be lower, it's okay. You're not coming back to me like a sad puppy with your tail tucked between your legs. I'm not going to tell you I told you so. Just please give me a shot before you sign anything else with them. Fair enough? And usually later on down the road, they hit you back up and they're like, hey, Tino, you were right. You know, and it's like, I'm like, it's all good, man. Like, hey, so I was here. Now I have to be here. Are you ready to roll? I'm going to send
Remember what we were talking about? Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And then,
but they trust you more. And at that point, it's like, all right, he's a real person. He's not trying to, because I hate when people are on the phone and they just sound so salesy to the point where it's like every stereotypical cheesy line that a sales guy can do.
I think that's because the most common misconception of sales is rapport.
Yeah.
I think that's the most common misconception.
God, dude, this guy's on point. Dude, I preach this because my sales process is a logic-based sales process. It's like, dude, you can't, like, most people are just like, oh, you got to connect and match and mirror and shit.
We're building rapport around the product. We're building rapport around the house.
The service, the house, what you're going to do for them, right? Why working with you is better. And what it all boils down to is a couple simple things. It's either time, money, or you. It's always that. It's either like the timing's off because they don't know, and then the timing's off just because they don't know that they can stay in the property possibly. They don't know that you can help them move. They don't know that, they just don't know enough. They're not educated. The money part is because you haven't asked enough questions to get them to be real comfortable with you and say, hey, that's not enough money for my property. You always get those people that are like, oh, it sounds good, but I'm gonna think about it and like, well, let me ask you a question. What is it that you need to think about? You know, like what? It's crazy to me how I have salespeople sometimes that I'm training, and they're like, they call the lead that Maria, the cold caller, talked to, and they're like, oh yeah, they're just gonna think about it. Think about what? And they're like, think about if they want to sell. I'm like, what do you mean? Think of it.
They're not gonna go to the back porch with a cigar and be like,
they have nothing to think about yet. Like, give them a number, give them go through the process with them. Like, you have to go through that. Everyone gets an offer. Like, that's the thing. Like, if these salespeople are not shooting 3 to 5 offers a day, they're not gonna get deals. And those conversations of having, making 50, 100 calls a day, that's all fine and dandy just to, chalk up on the board, but it doesn't mean shit if you're not giving offers. So that's one thing I preach. And logic-based closing is something that's helped me in the car business. It's helped me, be a top producer in the car business, be a top producer in real estate. And it's just tried and true, man. Because most people, let's be honest, man, they don't know you, Austin. They don't know me. So when we're on the phone with them, like, they don't give a fuck, about, I got 2 kids just like you. Like, they don't care about it. What they care about is what you're going to do for them, how much money you're going to put in their pocket, and what kind of problem you're going to solve for them.
Well, the other side of that too, right? Like, when it comes to rapport,
yep.
So many people are like, oh man, but we've got a really good connection. We've got a really good relationship. Like,
friend zone.
They're friends, right? How many of your friends have put money in your pocket?
Yeah, they get friend zone, man.
How many of your friends have put money in your pocket?
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee I've made more money with complete strangers than I ever have with friends.
Exactly.
Right? Ever.
It's 100% facts. A lot of salespeople, they mistake, making a friend with making a sale. And that's one problem that it plagues the sales community, especially in real estate. Like, a lot of people are like, you got to build so much rapport. Like, rapport is good, right? But it's got to be natural rapport. Not like, oh, how about them Cowboys? Or what's the weather like? Like, just shit in conversation. Like, oh, yeah, what does your backyard look like? Oh, I got a grill and a fire pit. Oh, you like to host a lot? What do you like cooking? Steaks? carne asada? Like, what type of stuff you cook?
Yep.
You know, just natural conversation like that. Like, oh man, I love ribeyes. Are you a medium rare guy? Or are you a well done guy? Oh, medium rare. All right. You know, just
I know who I'm
stupid
dealing
conversation
with.
like that. Like, see that, but that's real conversation, not like just fake. I feel like a lot of people try to fake it too hard, and it just comes off as awkward. And you know, sales is just, it's easy, man. It's just finding the needs, wants, and desires of whatever you're selling that person or service, and then just fulfilling on that. And by building logic into that sales process, you're able to show them why you're quote unquote, lowballing the fuck out of them, because it just makes sense. And if it makes sense, it makes dollars. You know what I'm saying? So that's like, one thing that we teach,
bro. So like, I kind of took, you know, Jordan Belfort, The Way of the Wolf. Have you read that? The Straight Line, dude.
Straight Line,
took that, right? And then Alex Hormozy.
Yep, dude, he's a monster.
Dude,
he's a monster.
I literally, so the way that we kind of like structured our process, right? We took the Straight Line, we implemented it with the Hormozy closer process, right? CLOSER, right? We took that, we molded it into real estate, right? We took the steps from the closer process, we molded it into real estate, and it works, dude. Like, and we're building rapport. Like you said, it's logic-based conversation. It's the logic-based close. It's logic-based rapport, right? It's rapport based around the solution we're providing.
Exactly.
Right. And like, to your point, when you're talking about like the money, right? When you're talking about, oh, they're asking too much, whatever the case is, so many times, and like we still struggle with this, right? And I'm sure so many people do, but so many times we get so caught up with, well, they want this. Okay, cool. But what do they need?
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
What solution that we're providing?
This guy's fucking.
What do they need out of the sale? Right. Yep. And that's dude,
that's actually part of our actual teachings, our scripts. It's like, hey, like when they say, oh, like before I give them the number, I try to extract the number from them, right? So it's like, hey, before I go back to my finance department and crunch some numbers, let me ask you a question. What were you looking to get for the property? It's like, what were you looking to get? Like, what were you hoping to get, right?
What do you want?
And then, exactly. And when they tell me, oh, I'm looking at this, let me ask you a question. How'd you come up with that number? And then I explain to them why their number is not anywhere in the fucking universe of where they should be based on all the questions I asked, the fact finding of the property condition, the remodeling that hasn't been done, the double pane windows with the black frame, energy efficient, like all the stuff that I asked them leading up to that point will make me help them devalue themselves so that they start having FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt about their own property value and their own property, pedestal that they have it on. And then they start realizing, oh shit, my shit is not that.
Yeah.
We got a good comment. Someone's going to tell you.
We got a good comment, Tino.
Okay. Because Zillow said, we saw how that happened, right? Yeah. Zillow said. Here's the crazy thing about it, man. It's like, as far as like people saying that their property needs a lot of work, like it's very rare that somebody's like, yeah, my property is not as nice as the one that sold. I live in a shithole. I want to sell this for cash. Like everyone's going to ask. I actually asked a room full of 400 people a month ago, if anybody live in a shithole, like who lives in a shitty house, and not one person raised their hand. And I said, hey, let's be honest, man. Like, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. And I'm not going to call anybody out here, but I promise you, not all of you guys live in nice houses. But that it speaks volumes, because nobody is ever going to say, yeah, my house is only worth half of what market rate is going.
Well, I think another kicker to that too, right, is perspective.
Yeah.
Because we have to also realize that like the seller's perspective of what's nice and what's not, especially if we're talking to them, completely different. So they might be telling you their house is a fucking mansion.
Yeah.
300 square feet. Right?
Exactly.
So it's like we have to, as the acquisitions, right, we have to do a better job of pulling what we're actually talking to in perspective, right?
Yeah. Because what I like to use is the HGTV 2022 standards. Is it, if I built a rapport with them, I'll say, hey, is it like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy? Is it that good? And if they're like, oh no, then I start to like really, because like we were saying, we got to pull them into reality, right?
Yeah.
Reality as a whole. Because in their bubble, in their reality, this is normal living. Like, dude, for mica countertops and fucking, shitty shag carpet is normal. Like, that's all they know. It's the same thing. Like, you don't know what you don't know. So when I start explaining to them, like, HGTV, Home and Garden, San Diego Home and Garden magazine, they're like, no, it's not. Okay, well, that's kind of what we do. We come in and we fix them up. And don't worry, you're not going to have to foot the bill to all this stuff. I'm going to take care of that. And then, that just kind of sets the tone. So what my logic-based program is, as I'm asking them for a virtual tour of their home, I'm going through every single thing in every single room. Like, let's say I'm asking about the cabinets. I ask the condition of the cabinets, what kind of cabinets they are. When's the last time that they were repaired or replaced? And did they ever get a quote? So I always ask those three things. And once I get the quote from them, I write the shit down. I write everything down. So that way, when I hit them in the mouth, like, boom, 60% ARV, then I'm explaining to them, hey, well, you told me I need it. Well, I told you I'm liable for a new roof for up to 10 years. So I got to replace that. It's $14K. AC, you told me hasn't been fixed. That's $7K. I'm going to have to do the cabinets and everything else. The kitchen's going to cost me a good $10,000 to $12,000. You told me that the bathroom's going to need this. We agree that that's going to be like $7K. And I write all that shit down. I say, hey, look, dude, I'm at like $45,000 in repair. I'm actually being very, very considerate and nice on my offer. I should be giving you less. And Mr. Johnson, these are your numbers. Like, you gave me these numbers. I didn't come up with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've treated you with nothing but respect thus far. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. Now, you wouldn't lie to me, would you? No. They're never going to be like, yeah, I'm a liar. Well, you got me, right? At that point, it's like, fuck, dude. You put them in a trick bag, and they absolutely have no choice but to accept the numbers that you're doing, just because it is what it is. You gave me those numbers. So I do that every time I'm on the phone with a seller. Sometimes it goes left a little bit, and I just got to bring it back. I got to bring it back, right? But if I've done everything thus far correctly and stay true to my process leading up to that point, then that's the easy part. The 85% is just, not necessarily building rapport, because you're doing that the whole process, but actually fact finding and extracting numbers from them, writing it down, and getting ready to just blow their fucking legs off. Like that's just what we do,
Well, you can't be scared either, right?
Right.
You can't be scared like that. Your number is going to ditch that rapport that you built. Right? Because if you've built rapport the correct way, giving them that number is not going to immediately just nix the rapport.
Yeah. No one's going to hang up on you when you. So like, I have a mentee the other day, and he's getting better. He's getting really good. We're training. Shouts out to Sal. He's locking up deals now, and they're sellable deals. And a deal that we just got locked up, I was helping him out with it. He gave him the offer, and the offer, as soon as he gave him the offer, it was like, well, it's not 300, and then they just fucking clicked on him. But he felt like he had built up enough rapport. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem is that by looking at the comps, we could have gotten a lot higher.
Yeah.
Could have gotten a lot higher. But not only that, but you have to have enough control on these phone calls to have those kind of hard conversations. And so that's something that, like, salespeople, all salespeople, good salespeople, bad salespeople, in between, have to work on being able to have control. So I always use this analogy that sellers are like, this sounds bad. They're like dogs, right? And you put a leash on the dog, and you, as the professional who does this every fucking day, multiple times a day, they only do this once every 10 to 20 years. Mm-hmm. You're walking that dog. You're walking that dog through your sales process. Now, when you walk your dog on the sidewalk, sometimes it veers off and wants to go smell the dried dog shit on the tree, right? And it'll pull you, and then you got to pull the dog back over to the sidewalk. So it's the same thing. When you have your either straight line process or any sales process, and they seem to deviate this way, you have to, appease that, and then bring them back to your straight line process, whatever your sales process may be, and show them that, hey, look, I'm the professional here, right? Because do you know what the difference between a professional is? Like, what makes a professional?
You do it every day.
Yeah. Here, check this out. My brother is a funny story. My brother, I've told him what a professional is multiple times, and it just never sticks. But a professional is somebody who gets paid for what they do. So, like, and NBA guys get paid, right? Like college kids, they don't get paid. Now they're starting to open endorsements.
Now they do, yeah. Now some of those guys are getting bags.
So, yeah, exactly. So that's what makes you a professional. So for you, this is like what you do. Like check this out. I never go to the painting store and tell the painting guy, how to do his job, right? Like I don't go to the locksmith and tell him how to do. The guy that fucking services my Aston Martin, I don't tell him how to do his fucking job because I don't know. I'm not an Aston Martin mechanic. He is. So it's the same deal. Like I will not let a seller tell me how to do my fucking job. So I build that level of authority when I'm speaking to them that, hey, I do this all the time. This is, in the past we've seen, based on our experience, we've found that, like whenever it's like somebody gives me a problem or they think you're going to lowball the shit out of me. Hey, look, I understand how you feel. We've had a lot of other clients that have felt the same.
Yeah.
What we have found based on our experience in the past is that, so it's feel, felt, found. That's another car guy thing that Jordan Belfort uses too. That is something.
Anecdote. Yeah.
Yeah. So like all this stuff is just like knowing word tracks and then just being able to relate and make them feel good about their decision and just follow a sales. It's that simple, man. Like everyone tries to fucking add so much sauce to this shit, like their salt.
There's only so much you can add to it.
Yeah, dude, it's sales, man. It's been the same since the beginning of time, man. It's been like money, right? Money buys time, buys power, buys fucking blow, buys whatever you want to buy with it, right? Nonetheless, it's like how can I make this shit simple and effective every single time? And that's one thing that having a sales process just eliminates all the drama of doing things differently every single time.
Yeah. No, and I think back to your point, right?
I talk a lot, bro. I'm sorry.
No. I think back to your point about like sellers kind of like, it's funny as it may be, but it's kind of true, right? Like I actually talk about this all the time, right? We have to steer the conversation because there's multiple reasons, right? Like you said, we're the professional, right? We know where the conversation should end up. They don't.
Yeah.
Right. Number two, back to the analogy of them being like a dog. 99% of the sellers that we talk to are rescues.
I like that.
Over before.
Yep, exactly.
Okay?
You're not the first person to talk to them for sure.
You're not the first person to talk to them. You're not the first person to offer them money.
I love that.
So if you're using the analogy of like the sellers are like dogs, right? They're rescues. What do you have to do with a rescue? You got to show us some love. You got to show us some grace. You got to rename it. You got to relabel it. You got to re-clarify what their purpose in the household is, right?
Damn,
you have to literally drive them to where they're the dog that you need them to be, right?
1,000%.
Same thing with a seller, right? Almost every seller we talk to, they've already talked to somebody. They've already been screwed over. They've had a contract that didn't come to fruition, right? Somebody told them their house is worth whatever, right? They got their house appraised 4 months ago, and they think
they're devastated. They got PTSD.
Right? Well, and that's the thing too, is like one thing I've been telling a lot of our guys right now is that like sellers are going to be bitter right now.
Yeah.
But it's not at you.
Yep.
Okay. They're the fat kid that missed the bus and they're chasing it and it's not stopping.
Exactly. They're looking at shit that sold a couple months ago. Like, damn, that's what I said. Sellers look at the past. Investors are looking at the future. And they're like, damn, dude, I missed the bus for sure.
Well, and because maybe 10% of the leads that you get right now just decided they want to sell it. The other 90% have been thinking about it.
And now they're taking action.
But they missed it.
Yeah.
Right. So if they're bitter and like your conversations are going south or whatever the case may be, like you got to, especially like as the sales, as the acquisitions, like it's not at you. Right. You can get it to where it'll be at you. Right. But like initially, like the conversation is not at, like, they're not bitter at you. They're bitter because they missed.
Yep. They're mad at themselves for missing that situation.
I mean, like anytime in sports or in, gambling, whatever the case may be, right? When you miss, you get pissed. Right. You're not necessarily pissed at anybody particular. You're just mad.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. 1,000%. Yeah. And, a lot of times, they have their guard up, and you're right. You got to reiterate to them what their purpose is and what you're going to help them with, and how you're different. I don't like to talk bad about other companies when I'm pitching people at all, but I just tell them, hey, like, I can't tell you about them, but what I can tell you is what I'm going to do, right?
Yeah.
And what I fully stand behind, what I intend on doing for you, and how I'm going to do it. And that usually just kind of puts them at ease, because like one of my buddies, Eric Klein, he says this really well. Like, these people are all devastated. They're like scarred from all these fucking wholesalers that put them under contract too high and tell them their property is worth X amount. It's not, right? And they never close, and they just have lack of communication. They don't like fulfill on anything that they say they're going to do. And that's when, like, it fucks it up. It's like a girl, when a girl gets like cheated on or not treated well, like it fucks her up for the next guy. The next guy's got to like try that much harder to tell her, hey, no, that's not normal. This is how I do things,
Yeah, I'm out. That's not, yeah.
Exactly.
Standard,
Right. So that's kind of the same thing that sellers go through when dealing with wholesalers, man. And let's face it, man, with the low barrier of entry, anyone's calling, man. Anyone's calling. And it can be ugly. But at the end of the day, like, it's just a skill set aspect, because everyone's doing the same thing. It's whoever has the most skill and determination and relentlessness. A lot of people say like hard work beats talent, which I agree. But talent that works hard fucking crushes it. And I'll tell you what, I don't have to work that hard to make 6 figures a month multiple times. Like, I work Monday through fucking Thursday. I have every Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. And like, I stop working by normally around 1:00 every day, those 4 days a week. And it's not because I'm better than anyone. It's just because I got really good at sales. And sales is not the end all be all, right? But it provides a good life for myself and my family. And I know a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that it provides a good life for as well. It provides a good life for you. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, but like, to that point though, right? What went in to getting you to the point of now you're only working?
Oh yeah.
Now you're only working Monday through Thursday. Like, so what went in to get to that point?
To get to that level, it was the relentless obsession with being better at my craft. To this day, I still record myself on phone calls. Not just the recording, the audio, like the file, the WAV file. I actually put a camera on and I record myself on the call.
Because you guys are all virtual, right?
Yes. And then I go, I watch my body language. I watch my eyebrows raise when I'm talking. And then I go back and I say, hey, dude, I fucked up here. I probably could have said this. Dude, and I'm teaching like people around the world how to do this. Yeah. So even at my level, I'm not the best King Kong swinging dick in the world, but I'm pretty damn good at what I do. I still, to this day, train myself, critique myself, try to get better. And that ultimately, like, those first few years, like, I don't think anybody needs to eat shit for years before they hit it. I mean, you're a prime example of not eating shit for years, right? You just jumped in the game, you applied yourself, you perfected your craft, and you just took off. So what people need to do is that first part, apply themselves. A lot of people get lost in the notion of like, oh yeah, these guys are crushing it, man. I want to be a wholesaler. I want to get into real estate. But then they get all this stuff and then they just don't take action just because they're scared of rejection, or they're like, just don't want to work. A lot of people are scared of the no's, believe it or not. A lot of people have not been told to fuck off. A lot of people have never heard that. So when they hear it the first couple times, it's devastating, especially if somebody has a low self-esteem. So sales is just self-esteem, honestly. All it is confidence and self-esteem. And if you're confident and secure with yourself, then you become good at sales. So in order for me to get to this point where now, like, people hit me up like, hey, dude, can you sell this for me? I'll give you 33% of everything that's sold. I'll do this, do this. Like, for people to come to me and say that stuff, it's like, fuck, dude. Like, so people see value in me, and like, I'm good at sales. And in order to get to that point, I did have to work my ass off, and I still do, to get better. Right. Yeah. So for me, like, I joke around a lot. I just dropped a reel today about how I played Xbox for 10 hours the other day with my friends and my brother. That is true. I did play the new Call of Duty 10 hours.
Yeah. How is it?
It was badass.
Yeah.
Super badass. But it's, it's all in moderation. And I could only do that because I'm having success in other areas, right? So a lot of people just get caught up in, hey, it just takes one deal. It does take just one deal. It takes one deal. It takes one deal. But you're not going to get to that one deal unless you grind your fucking ass off, man.
Yeah.
And for real, like if a lot of people are like here today and then gone tomorrow. What I mean, I say that to say this: like a lot of people will have a good run and then they just kind of like slow down, or they have a string of bad events, and then they're broke a couple months later, chopping down their marketing. So, guys, like one thing I can just tell you is if you want to have that kind of lifestyle where you have freedom to do whatever fuck you want for the most part, where you can breathe and you don't have that financial burden or weight on your shoulders, then you need to do everything intentionally. What I mean by that is like the time now, if you're just starting, if you're not cracking out all those big numbers, you need to really, really hone in on yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, am I really working as hard as I could be? Because a lot of people, man, you'll see them on IG, man. They're like, oh, grinding, first in, last out. Bro, that's not that. Don't glorify that to me. I don't want to be the guy who's first in.
I hate the term grind, man.
Yeah,
dude, bro, when you grind gears, you destroy them.
Hey, I like that.
Why would you want to grind?
I like that. It's facts. Yeah. So a lot of people glorify that, like the working long hours and shit. Like nobody really wants to work long hours. Like, let's be honest, man. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody really truly wants to do it. It feels good. If no cap. It feels good when you're doing 100%. It and then you get results. But if you're just doing it and you're not getting results, then you're doing it wrong, right? So I always tell people, don't hustle.
Busy and being productive.
Yep. Don't hustle backwards. Don't be busy. Don't be busy. Be productive. So a lot of people, they put a lot of energy into something, but they're putting it into the wrong thing, or they're doing it the wrong way. And I can put in, 15% of my energy into it and get better results. Mm-hmm. So the best thing I can leave anyone in this chat or anyone watching this is that you should always invest in yourself. Invest in yourself to learn. When I was in the car business, I didn't know this, but I paid a guru. Well, I know I paid a guru, but I didn't know what gurus were back then. My second paycheck in the car business, I paid, like, to be honest with you, like it was that first month. I sold 1.5 cars, and that's because I had people teaching me, helping me.
How do you sell half a car?
Yeah. So you have to deal. So it was like three car deals I was part of, right?
Yeah.
3 car deals I was part of. And I almost got out of the car business and went to go work for GoDaddy and Chase, believe it or not. But the second month, there was like this dude who I'll never forget him. His name was Dominic DeMarinis. He was an old sales manager of mine, and Joel Friedman, good old school sales guys. Like one of them had the mustache like this, wore suspenders,
like coffees for closers type.
Yeah, wore suspenders and shit, pinstripe suits. And I remember they're like, hey, dude, like it's going to cost you half your monthly paycheck. But I promise you, if you put this into action, you're going to make a lot of money. And I paid the guru, half my monthly paycheck. And I went and I sat in this Hyatt hotel fucking conference center. And it was like 15 of us. And he taught me a bunch of shit. And I kind of tweaked it out a little bit. He's like, don't tweak it. Just do this until it starts working for you. Then you can find what works for you and what doesn't. Okay, cool. Dude, the next month I ended up cranking out I made like $8,000 from, it was like 1,800 the month prior to $8,000. And then it went to 12,000. And then it went to 15,000. And it just kept going up. And so what I realized is like a lot of people glorify the grind, but I'd rather pay somebody that's already been through that grind, who's already been through the yeses and the nos and the trials and errors. And I'd rather take the elevator than the stairs every fucking time. Dude, look at my face. Look at my hair. It's great, bro. I'm older, bro. Like, I don't have time to be trying shit out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't got time for that. So I'd rather pay somebody. And that's one thing that I wish that I would have realized sooner, even in life. I had mentors when I was in the Army, but like, the Army was my life. Had I started doing this shit while I was in the Army, dude, who knows, man? I think it's always 2020, right? But for the people listening, now's your opportunity to find a mentor, find a battle buddy, a teammate, somebody that's gonna keep you accountable and help you. There's so many times where like I don't want to do shit on a Tuesday. My brother's like, "Yo, come in, we gotta do this." And I'm like, all right. Or else I would go, I'm like, fuck, dude, like, whatever, dude. I'm still going to make money. Like, you know? So it's like, you just got to keep yourselves accountable, man. And I go through spurts. Where I want to work my ass off, be super productive. And I go through spurts where I don't feel like doing shit. But I wouldn't have the choice, like the opportunity to do that had I not busted my ass early on. And it doesn't necessarily mean eating shit. It just means getting really good at what it is you're trying to do. And becoming obsessed with it, man. Like almost to the point where like people are like, dude, that's all you fucking talk about. That's all you like. That's all you care about. That's all you're interested in. Well, yeah, dude, I want to fucking grow at this. So
no, I mean, like, to your point, man, like, you know, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that we didn't eat shit, right? Because I mean, there was a lot of growing pains and a lot of stuff that we, you know, went through. But like for the most part, like I realized pretty early on that this is sales and marketing, right?
Right.
And so I sat down and structured a sales and marketing company. I didn't structure real estate, whatever. Like
that's all it is.
And I said, hey, in 5 years, what does this look like?
Yeah.
Right. In 2 years, what does this look like? In a year, what does this look like? In 6 months. Okay, cool. That's what the goal is. That's what I want it to look like.
Nice.
Right. What's the process that gets there? Right.
Yep.
And the number one thing was the sales process. Right. The number two thing was the people process. Number three thing was the dispo process, which at the time, dispo process was pretty damn easy. Right. But like I put 100% of my effort into the sales process. Right. And ended up getting really good at it. Right. And then started closing deals, like boom, 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 like back to back. And then like, dude, I had one of my buyers reach out to me and was like, dude, these deals don't even make any sense. Can you teach me how to do this?
Yeah.
First time I ever, dude, that was the first time I'd ever like mentored anybody. It was a buyer of mine that was like, dude, I will pay you to teach me.
He's like, what are you doing? How are you fucking doing this?
Dead serious. He was like, I will pay you to teach me how to get deals the way you're getting deals under contract. Because we sold him a deal and he still ended up making like 25% on it on the back end. And we ripped off 35 on it.
Nice.
And like, and I was up front with him because he asked me, he was like, what are you going to make on this? Like, I don't care, 35. I was like, because I know what you're making. I know you're going to make 25% on it. So I'm cool telling you what I'm making.
Yeah.
Right. And, but yeah, like you said, like it's getting really good and really focused.
1,000%.
And I think to your point about like, you know, taking the elevator, not the stairs, like you can take the elevator, you can get in the elevator all you want, but you still got to push the buttons.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Like, you can hire a mentor, you can get a coach, you can get a course, you can do all that stuff, but they're only going to teach you.
A lot of people just like the idea of it. They like the idea of learning how to really grow. Like it's funny. I see the same people at a lot of different events, and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm like, dude, you know, I'll see. I'm like, hey, dude, last time I talked to you, I remember. I got a pretty good memory. I'm like, hey, dude, last time I talked to you, you were doing this. What's going on? And they're like, I'm like, what's changed? Like it's the same shit. I'm still trying to get my first deal. There's people that I met that haven't gotten a deal. It's like they've been at it for 10 months. How are you at something for like? I give them props. They got heart. Now, one or two things are happening. Either they're lying to themselves or they're lying to me. They're really not trying for 10 fucking months to get a deal. My girlfriend, or excuse me, my fiance now, had never had any experience in this. I literally gave her a crash course in my fucking kitchen of my sales process for like 2 hours one day. And then that same week, she locked up a deal and closed it. Like we sold it, you know, a couple weeks later, it was a probate deal. It was all done. But it just goes to show, like, it really just takes you actually working, like a lot of people, like, you know, they prey on shit, right? Not to take away from that, but prayer doesn't just work by itself. Like you got to put a little work and hustle behind it, you know. You got to put yourself, align yourself with that prayer to actually be able to make it happen, right? So a lot of people, like you said, you can put them in the elevator, but they still got to push the button. They still got to walk the fuck out, you know. So like that's the issue. Is a lot of people will buy a course. Dude, we got people that have bought my course that haven't even opened it yet, never signed in. Never signed. Like you spent $700 on something and you never signed in. You didn't even
But,
look
but
at
they
it.
feel,
Like
but they feel good. But they feel
yeah,
good because they guess what?
they'll post it on Instagram. They'll tag
invested
me. You know.
they invested in themselves.
Yeah, but that's
Right?
not good enough. You have to go like actually do it. Go for it.
Yeah.
But I guess baby steps, right? You got to walk before you crawl. But if there's that's why it goes back to having like accountability partner. Like I was talking about my brother. It goes back to like having a mentor, having somebody who's gonna like call you on your shit. Really, my brother would call me on my shit. I call him on his shot all the time. Right?
Yeah.
It's probably more one-sided than anything. Dude, the sales guy banter in here is off the fucking charts, man. Like it's bad. We're like calling each other weak dicks, all types of stuff. But let me tell you, man, having that kind of person that's going through the same shit as you really does help you. Like coming from a Hispanic family and I'm first generation here, like everything's a scam to my family, right? Like everything's a scam, whether it's crypto, whether it's selling this, whether it's Amazon, whether it's wholesaling, like, oh, it's not illegal. Are you sure it's not illegal? Like it's just, everything's a scam, right? So like, it's kind of hard to have those conversations with family. But once I know when I'm like at an event or when I'm talking to gurus or I'm talking to my brother or other people that are going through the same shit like you, I can relate to that. And it just makes me feel like, okay, this is not just me, right? It's not just me who's seen this. Everyone's seen this. Now, what am I going to do to make sure that I'm still coming up on top? And the way I'm going to do that is follow my sales process. But without having those connections to people, I won't even have those thoughts in my head of what I should be looking out for, because we don't know what we don't know, and everything happens to us. Oh, why me, right? Not for me or because of me. It's always to me. And so by aligning yourself and being putting yourself in rooms or just groups with other people that are doing the same thing, I know that has helped me level up just tremendously, man. Since last year of October, my income has over 10x. Since last October, and it's all happened just by putting myself in the right rooms with people and being ready, so I don't have to get ready when an opportunity comes. That's the biggest one. Always being sharp, and that's like something that I think that most people take for granted. Because anyone can make a deal, even if they're like they suck at sales, they can team up with somebody who is good at sales.
Everybody can just kind of nut every now and then.
Yeah, you could warm up a deal and then say, "Hey, man, I need help closing." If somebody hit like my brother up and was like, "Hey, dude, I got this person that's this close at signing. I don't know how to get them across the finish line. It's a good fucking deal. We're all gonna eat." Like my brother would be like, "All right, cool. Well, how are we gonna do this?" All right. They talk the chop up, right? Yeah. My brother would close the deal, boom. Now the guy who never had a chance at closing a deal made a deal. And not only that, he got to witness how to do the deal so that next time he could do it on his fucking own. But a lot of people don't think that. They try to do everything by themselves. And that's one thing I did take away from Pace Morby, his squad up thing, his sub 2 community. He's got a great community, by the way. Shouts out to Pace Morby. Those people all like join forces together, and they all do deals together when they're just starting out, just so that they can help each other just kind of move up really fast. And I think that's something that's not very taught in this industry.
Yeah, not common.
Everyone has this like mentality of like, it's mine. I gotta, it's a scarcity mindset.
I think that's so funny because it's so true. And I think it's, for whatever reason, man, so many of these wholesaling companies and everybody and I'm going to step on some toes. I don't even care. But everybody thinks they got secret sauce. Everybody wants to hold shit close to vest, right? Everybody thinks what they're doing is like some proprietary whatever, right? Newsflash. Ain't shit different.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing that's different is the way I talk to people and the way you talk to people.
1000%.
Process I follow, the process you follow. The script 1,000%. I follow, the script you follow. The leads are the same.
Yep.
The lists are the same. 90% of people are using the same phone systems. Most people are using the same CRMs.
It's all the same.
So what are you hiding, man? And it's like, dude, even with buyers, man, like we'll do JV deals with people. I don't care if they find out who the buyer is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care, because guess what? My business isn't JVs. Yeah, we have a department. We do JV deals. But guess what? The biggest thing about the JV deals is a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. The biggest thing about
1,000.
JV deals is we're providing a service for these people. We're providing a solution for the homeowner that they got under contract. Right. I don't care about, hiding and, taking out the buyer so they can't see it on the HUD. Dude, I don't care. Call them. Tell them I sent you. Like
exactly. And it's funny that people do that. It just shows like insecurity to me, honestly. Like for me, it's just like, dude, I don't care. Like, just go ahead, do it. Like I connect so many people. A lot of my friends that'll be like, hey, do you know anybody that buys out here? Yeah, absolutely. I don't like, I'll group them in a group chat sometimes and say, hey, this is a good friend of mine, da 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 da. He's got some properties he wants to offload. I know you're the man out here. Just treat him good. Boom. That's it. Like, I'm not expecting nothing. Like, whatever. Or I just send them the contact, just for the simple fact that, hey, I know who I am. I know what I'm gonna do, and it can include you, but it doesn't need to. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people just want to get paid off of something. I heard something so stupid last year where somebody was like, hey, if I connect you with a relationship with somebody and you make money off of that with them, you need to reciprocate, and I need to see some sort of kickback. I'm like, what the fuck?
Hey,
like,
so many people are so worried about making nickel and dimes, they forget how to make a dollar.
Facts. Stepping over dollars to make pennies. It's crazy.
And they're so worried about getting one up on everybody else. They're like feeling that way.
I that's like just a victimhood mentality, man. I'm super easygoing. Like, I'm the fucking coolest, chilled, laid back person in the world, man. Like, nothing phases me. Even if something's really bad going on, stressful, like, I'm just like, man, it could be worse. I always think about this, man. I could be in Iraq in a bombed out building getting shot at.
Hey, that's facts.
Been there. You know what I'm saying? So like, this is like, there's nothing out here that's really gonna have me that stressed. Like, it's seriously, bro. And here's another thing, man. I can be broke tomorrow, and I know next week I'll be balling again. Like, it's
hey, what's that come back to?
Yeah, it comes back to being very good at what you do and always being relentless to the point where you're obsessed. So one of my favorite books, it's an audio. Make sure you get the audio book, not the reading book, because the audio book is actually narrated by Grant Cardone. It's called Be Obsessed or Be Average. And that audio book, ultimately, like, that's one of the books that really helped change my life with my mental space. Because a lot of people, like, I'm not a huge like mindset guy, like affirmations, like gratitude. Like, I'm grateful for my life, right? I'm grateful for all that shit. I speak affirmations to my kids because I think it's important for children to hear that stuff and to feel confident that they're good enough, right? But as an adult, I should have the moral compass, and I should have the intestinal fortitude to already know who the fuck I am. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So as far as that goes, this book has really helped me hone myself into what I should put my intention into, because what you give attention to will create results. Now, whether they're good or bad results is up to what you put your attention to. So that's one thing that's important, man, for sure. And I know I'm talking.
No, dude, that's been, man. It's been a killer episode, guys. If you guys are still tuned in, or if you guys are listening to this later on once we post it, I would highly recommend go back and re-listen to some of this, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot like in this. There's a lot of stuff to unpack too, right?
Yeah. You dropped a lot of game too. You dropped a lot of game. I actually wrote down some of the shit you were saying too, because a lot of this stuff, like, how should I put it, man? A lot of people get once they get to a certain level, whether it's in their own heads or people hype them up or whatever, they tend to think that they know it all. And that's one thing that, like, I always tell my brother too, like, we always got to be students, not to the game, but just to knowledge itself, to people. Yeah. Because I learned stuff that I apply to this shit that from people that have nothing to do with this shit. Yeah. Right. So, like, little things, like, you can take somebody to the elevator, but they still got to fucking push the button. That is crucial. That's going to stick. I'm telling you, I'm going to say that on stage.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But, like, that's, things like that, and always trying to soak up and learn from anyone. Is a lot. I see this a lot where people are like, "Oh, if you're broker than me, I'm not going to listen to you. Like, you have nothing to tell me."
Kanye quote, yeah.
Kanye. I've seen a couple people on social media say shit like that too.
Yeah.
If you're a certain age and you don't have certain amount of money, like, just dumb shit like that. Like, that's not everything, right? Like, not everyone's goal is to have money. Everyone's goal is just to be happy. Whether that means you driving a Honda or driving a Bentley or not even driving at all, whether it means you being, aligned with yourself spiritually, or just being able to have blowing hookers 24/7. Like, there's just everyone's version of happiness and fulfillment is different. So I always listen to everyone, whether they're fucking homeless or they're, where I aspire to be. It doesn't matter. The janitor knows more secrets than anyone else. I promise you that.
Dude, that what you just said goes back to one of the biggest like takeaways I've ever gotten from a book or a podcast or any interview or anything like that was listening to Alex Hormozy talk about money. Mm-hmm. Dude literally says money doesn't buy anything other than options.
Mm-hmm.
The more money you have, the more options you have to do with that.
1000%.
Right. And like, dude, that stuck with me so hard because it's not about buying happiness, and everybody's versions of happiness is different. Everybody's version of what they want to do with the money is different, but you got to have the money for the options.
Yeah. Money's just a tool, man. Like, and it's fake. I always say it's fake because it is fake, man. Like, think about it. I have all this money in my bank account and I've never actually pulled it out. I've never seen it. It's just there, right? It's just ones and zeros. It's like, just checks and balances. When I spend money, it just like the number just goes down a little bit, and then I make money, and then the money goes up again. The number goes up. So it's like, it's like it doesn't matter. But yeah, it does give you options. It does make things easier. It does allow you to do things that normally you'd be stressing about. Little things that normally would stress out someone who didn't have money. The money allows you to not worry about that and to worry about bigger things. And that honesty is like that's where my happiness comes into play, where I don't really have to worry about the dumb shit, or what I would consider dumb shit.
Right. And that's huge, man.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, man, is like everyone wants to be rich and do all that shit. It sounds good on paper, but like that's not really what you're looking for. You just want to be in a better situation than you're in now. And the way to do that is to just fucking get out there and work, whether it's doing this, whether it's, fucking opening a taco shop, a taco stand, or a hot dog stand. It doesn't matter what it is. Just being good at what you do will pay you all the time. I always tell my brother, hey, dude, I always knew this because he's like, dude, you're fucking crazy. When I quit car business, and I'm like, I took like 6, 7, 8 months off, just like traveling with my family. Like, I didn't do anything. Like, I was day trading, making a couple $1,000s a month, but I went from making 30, 40K a month to like making no Ks a month, so it was just like, my brother's like, dude, you're fucking nuts. I said, hey, dude, worst case scenario, if all else fails and I fucking go back to, only having a couple of $100,000 in the bank or less, then I can always go to any popsicle stand. And I know that my fucking talent and hard work and sales, I'll be able to build it all back up again. And that's all it is. Like, dude, all the time. Like, that's one thing. If you get, for those guys who like sales out there, if you get really good at sales, if you truly get good at sales, you will never, ever be broke in your life. Ever.
100%.
I've never met a good broke salesperson. Like, it doesn't exist.
No. Man, we're getting up to our time, man. So what's something you want to leave everybody with? Last little nugget, last little piece of advice, and then we'll sign off here.
I think if I can leave anyone with anything, I would leave them with this. Don't get in your own way. A lot of people, when I talk about mentorship and paying to get ahead, like, a lot of people are like, oh, that's easy for you to say because you already have the money to pay. Don't ever let money be the barrier to your success. There's money everywhere. You just got to figure out how to get it to where you need it to get so that you can get to where you need to get. With that being said, had I known what I know today earlier, like I said, hindsight's always 2020. I'd be so much more further ahead. So always be confident in yourself. Even if you're doing it wrong, be confident until you figure out you're doing wrong.
Right.
But don't ever be too confident to the point where you're not coachable. Stay coachable, stay learning. But the flip side of that coin is actually execute. That's the biggest thing. Execute what you learn and you will become successful. And the only difference between somebody that has money and somebody that doesn't have money yet is that person executed. That's it. That's the only difference. Because we all learn the same shit from the same people.
Execution and time.
Yeah. But thank you so much for having me on this podcast, man. It was truly, truly amazing. I know I ramble and I talk forever, but I really appreciate it. Shouts out to you guys and your team, man. And I really am grateful to be able to be on this podcast.
No, Tino, we appreciate you coming on, man, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode, and see you next time.